Hello, I am here to do a book review over the book Random Imaginations, a new poetry from Nattie hopefully I didn't butcher her name. If I did, then I apologize. Um, so to start off, I think this book is actually really great. It's really good. So what it is basically, it's just a collection of poems put together, a bunch of poems that Natalie had wrote. Something I think that's really great about this book is there's just so many different styles of how the poetries are about, they just come in many different aspects. There's so many different emotions to be expressed in this collection of poems. From like sadness to anger to happiness, joy, a little bit of grief and regret. Like it just comes in many different ways, which I think is really cool. And another part that I also think is great is there's so many different poems and are written in so many different ways. So where like some are just expressed in just the way it is, where others come in the ways of a person, as in the person is being described within the book or in the poem. So I think it's really cool that she just comes from so many different ways of how like these poems could be written. There are definitely some poems that stuck out to me in many different ways from just their names, such as poems like the poems I thought like had great names were ones like To Be or Not, another one called Parallax, another one called Fire in the Rain. Poems just like those just had really awesome names that just stuck out to me the most. But other poems within their writing and their message definitely also kind of caught my notice the most. So like one of the examples I would give right here is a poem called Darkness. And what Darkness is about, I have some notes here. Darkness, it's about a girl who's trying to run away from the darkness in her life, but sometimes she slips and she lets things come back in. And when she lets those things come back in, it causes more negativity come to her life. This one was really good to me because I think I know just as well as probably anybody else that we all sometimes do these things. We sometimes make the mistakes. We have these negative things in our lives that we try to get away from, and sometimes we just let it back in. So like, for example, maybe you have like a bad group of people that you were always around, and then at some point you just want to like make a switch to your life. So you try to distance your way away from them. But then next thing you know, something happens and you just let like something, you just like you let some of them back in. And next thing you know, some more negativity just comes back into your life that you were just trying to avoid in the first place. So I thought that one was a really good one that I think a lot of people can connect to. Another one that stood out to me, which is one of the ones that I think give the best example of how she has those different styles of writing, is the one called A Threat to Rebel. And what I like about this one is how it's being presented. So in Darkness, it's talking about this girl, whereas in A Threat to Rebel, it's a person describing another person that they see, which I think is a really interesting aspect to take in a poem, especially in a poem. And you can tell that it's written in this way from lines such as, I met a fine black man talking to himself. And it's just seeing just that little part right there, a fine black man, that's little details within the poem, like the word fine, not really a word that truly matters, but a word that is mentioned so it can give you better detail of how this man might possibly look in your brain. So I thought that was really cool. Some other great lines that come from that poem are, threatening to rebel, I joined the mission, liberation to ourselves, searching for support, ready for the flight, and then in parentheses is an L between the F and the I, which could also be used for flight. It just shows right there that two actions are trying to or are trying to be achieved here. The flight of something going on, the fight that's about to happen, which I think is really cool. Another one, another poem that stuck out to me, or poems I should say, and this is where this is kind of like one of those things I thought was a cool idea, but I wished could have been more, I guess, explored on. So within the book of poems, there you come across one of the poems called Confession, and it's called Confession 1. And I thought it was really cool, which made me think that, oh, there must be more confessions going on. And then you read a little bit more into it, and then you find a Confessions 2, which I thought was really cool. I'm thinking, oh, there must be more of these within the book. And then as you go on, you find out that those are the only two, which is, I don't know, I thought it was interesting because I thought like, I mean, I'm not saying there had to be like many of them, but I think I would have enjoyed more confessions, the fact that it was kind of like a continued series with going on within this book of poems, because usually within the book of poems you just kind of think like, oh, it's just this one poem and then it's over, where this kind of felt like a series. And even though each confession was something different, I think there just been like, what I think it just would have been like a really cool idea if there were maybe like two or three more confessions going on in the book. It was over like 200 pages, so I just thought like maybe that would be a cool idea. Another small issue that I had with the book of poems was, um, there's it's more focused on negative emotions than positive emotions, which is totally understandable. I mean, I get that, that's usually what poems are more focused on in general, but I guess like within a book that's so expressive in many different ways, and just something, and it's just like more of like a personal thing for me. I just feel like I would love to see poems sometimes seen in a way of happiness. And I even picked a poem from all that. There's a poem in there called Success. And even though the poem is titled Success, the poem itself isn't exactly talking all about success, which is something I wish it did do. The poem kind of like, what it goes into is basically describing what the failures are and how we succeeded from those failures, which is a really great idea and aspect that I think, of course, is very honorable. That we've all come through. We all had failures in life and that we can grow from. I think for me though, it's just something that I've seen done like a bunch of times. Um, but I guess I don't know. I guess it would have been nice to just see more poems in this book of poems that focused like just on the true joy of happiness, So like, I mean, if I had read Success, and Success literally only talked about the success that we have in life, and not how we reached them, I think I would have been like really into that one. But besides those two, I honestly didn't really have any issues with this book. If I had to rate this book, I would definitely give it maybe, I would say 4 out of 5 stars. It did a really good job hitting in so many different ways that you usually sometimes probably even wouldn't think that a poem probably wouldn't hit from. And Natalie definitely has a talent for expressing poems in so many different aspects that I've never even would have thought of like going into this thing. So I really like that. I would totally give this book a check out. If you guys are definitely into poems or just looking for something new, I would definitely give it a look. So yeah, hope you all have a nice day. Peace out.